Good morning, boys and girls. I'm Marcus Jackson, an Alabama reading coach with the Mobile County Public School System. My house area is actually Willie Elementary School, so I'd like to send a good morning and a happy shout out to all the faculty and staff and all the boys and girls at Whitley Elementary School. We just so miss you guys, and we're so looking forward to seeing you guys hopefully in the fall. I'm here to read a story to you guys, one of my favorite stories, entitled Dear Mr. Blueberry by Simon James. Dear Mr. Blueberry, Dear Mr. Blueberry, I love whales very much, and I think I saw one in my pond today. Please send me some information on whales, as I think he might be hurt. Love, Emily. Dear Emily, here are some details about whales. I don't think you'll find it was a whale you saw because whales don't live in ponds, but in salt water. Yours sincerely, your teacher, Mr. Blueberry. Dear Mr. Blueberry, I am now putting salt into the pond every day before breakfast, and last night I saw my whale smile. I think he is feeling better. Do you think he might be lost? Love, Emily. Dear Emily, please don't put any more salt in the pond. I'm sure your parents won't be pleased. I'm afraid there can't be a whale in your pond because whales don't get lost. They always know where they are in the oceans. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. Dear Mr. Blueberry, tonight I am very happy because I saw my whale jump and spurt lots of water. He looked blue. Does this mean he might be a blue whale? Love, Emily. P.S. What can I feed him with? Dear Emily, blue whales are blue and they eat tiny shrimp-like creatures that live in the sea. However, I must tell you that a blue whale is much too big to live in your pond. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. P.S. Perhaps it is a blue goldfish. Dear Mr. Blueberry, last night I read your letter to my whale. Afterward, he let me stroke his head. It was very exciting. I secretly took him some crunched up cornflakes and breadcrumbs. This morning, I looked in the pond and they were all gone. I think I should call him Arthur. What do you think? Love, Emily. Dear Emily, I must point out to you quite forcibly now that in no way could a whale live in your pond. You might know that whales are migratory, which means they travel great distances each day. And I am sorry to disappoint you. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. Dear Mr. Blueberry, tonight I'm a little sad. Arthur has gone. I think your letter made sense to him, and he has decided to be migratory again. Love, Emily. Dear Emily, please don't be too sad. It really was impossible for a whale to live in your pond. Perhaps when you are older, you would like to sail the oceans, studying and protecting whales. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. Dear Mr. Blueberry, it's been the happiest day. I went to the beach and you'll never guess, but I saw Arthur. I called to him and he smiled. I knew it was Arthur because he let me stroke his head. I gave him some of my sandwich. And then we said goodbye. I shouted that I loved him very much, and I hope you don't mind. I said you loved him too. Love, Emily and Arthur. The end. That's one of my favorite boys and girls. When I was asked to read, I pulled all the way back from my kindergarten years, and that was one of the first stories that I read and fell in love with, Dear Mr. Blueberry. My next story is also another one of my favorites. It's entitled Caps for Sale by Zyfer Slobodkina. Caps for Sale. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler, carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own check cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. And as he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place to rest," thought he, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First his own check cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in the back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them, "you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Test, test, test." They're making fun of him. This made the peddler angry, so he shook both his hands at them and said, you monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, "Test, test, test." They're marking him now. Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Test, test, test." By this time, the peddler was really very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, you monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Test, test, test." They're still just making fun of him, marking him. At last he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. What do you think's about to happen? But then each monkey pulled off his cap. And all the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own check cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps, and on the very top, and slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. I hope you guys enjoyed those. Thank you.
Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Wells. I'm so excited to be here today to read to you guys. So, for the first book we're going to read is going to be Love You Forever. And I am dedicating my books today to all of the graduating seniors. I know your story didn't turn out the way you wanted to, but you guys still have so much to be proud of, and I'm proud of you, and we all are. So my first book is actually a book that I purchased for my son when he graduated high school. So it's called Love You Forever by Robert Munsch. A mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, I love you forever. I like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The baby grew, he grew, and he grew, and he grew. He grew until he was 2 years old, and he ran all around the house. He pulled all the books off the shelves, he pulled all the food out of the refrigerator, and he took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. Sometimes his mother would say, "This kid is driving me crazy." I've been there before. But at nighttime, when that 2-year-old was quiet, she opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of the bed, and if he was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The little boy grew, he grew, and he grew, and he grew. He grew until he was 9 years old, and he never wanted to come in for dinner. He never wanted to take a bath. And when Grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to the zoo. I'm guilty of that as well. But at nighttime, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened his door, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed. If he was really asleep, she picked up that 9-year-old boy and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. The boy grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a teenager. He had strange friends and he wore strange clothes and he listened to strange music. Sometimes his mother felt like she was in a zoo. But at night, when the teenager was asleep, his mother opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed. If he really was asleep, she picked up that big boy and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. That teenager grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a grown-up man. He left home and got a house across town. But sometimes on dark nights, the mother got into her car and drove across town. If all the lights in her son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. If that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up, rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, that mother, she got older. She got older and older and older. One day, she called up her son and said, you better come see me because I'm very old and sick. So her son came to see her. When he came to the door, she tried to sing the song. She sang, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always." But she couldn't finish it because she was too old and sick. The son went to his mother. He picked her up and rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he sang this song. "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be." When the son came home that night, he stood for a long time at the top of the stairs. Then he went into the room where his very own new baby daughter was sleeping. He picked her up in his arms and very slowly rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while he rocked her, he sang, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." That is one of my favorite books. I have 3 sons, and I bought that book for all of them. Now it's another one of my favorite books, also dedicated to high school seniors. "Oh, the Places You'll Go." It's a Dr. Seuss book, and this is actually my daughter's book. I bought it for her when she was born, and all her teachers thus far have signed it. So, "Oh, the Places You'll Go." Congratulations! Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have shoes in your feet and can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what you know, and you are the guy. You'll decide where to go. You'll look up and down the streets, look over them with care, and some you will say, "I don't choose to go there." With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not too good street. And you may not find any you want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew, just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go. You'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join higher flyers who soar to high heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Whenever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say, but sadly it's true, that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch, and your gang will fly on. You'll be left in a lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. You will come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lighted, but mostly they're dark. A place could strain both your elbows and chin. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite, or go around the back and sneak in from behind? Simply, it's not, I'm afraid you will find, for a mind maker upper to make up his mind. You can get so confused that you'll start in to race down long wiggled roads and breaknecking pace and grinding on for miles across weirdish wild space, headed, I fear, towards the most useless place, the waiting place. For people just waiting for a train to go, or a bus to come, or a plane to go, or the mail to come, or the rain to go, or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting around for yes or no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting. Waiting for the fish to bite, or waiting for the wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. No, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape, and that's waiting, and that waiting and staying, you'll find a bright place where boom bands are playing. With banner flip-flapping and more, you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky, ready because you're that kind of guy. Once the places, oh, the places you'll go, there is fun to be done. There are points to be scored. There are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame, you'll be famous, and famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you on TV. Except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play the lonely games too. Games you can't win because you'll play against you. All along, whether you like it or not, alone will be sometimes you'll be quiet a lot. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that'll scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on. But on you will go through the weather be foul. On you will go through the enemy's prowl. On you will go through the hasgrass howl. Onward up many a frightening creek. Through your arms may you get sore, and your sneakers may leak. On and on you will hike, and I know you will hike far, and face up your problems, whatever they are. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and drift, and never mix up your right foot with your left. And you will succeed. Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kids, you'll move mountains. So, be your name Buxbaum or Bixby or Bray or McCarty, Alley, Van Allen, O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way. Thank you guys so much. Have a great Friday.